During Vladimir Putin's strange televised national security meeting last week, he forced his advisors to, one by one, say that they agreed with his military decisions. He publicly humiliated Sergei Narishkin, head of foreign intelligence, for stumbling over his lines and suggesting perhaps the worst could be avoided through more negotiations with Ukraine.
В противном случае вы предлагаете начать переговорный процесс? Нет, я... Или признавать суверенитет их. А я... Говорите прямо.
He should be one of the most trusted advisors in a meeting with Putin.
Former U.S. Ambassador to Russia, Michael McFaul.
When he even got the verb tense wrong, Putin berated him. And that is an illustration that none of those people in the room have any sway with Putin. I used to work with all those people in that room when I was ambassador. I know every single one of them. There's no such thing as an advisor to the president in Russia today.
Journalist Zoya Sheftalovich grew up in the Soviet Union and now covers NATO and Russia for Politico.
It's a classic mistake that is made by all tyrants, and that mistake is surrounding yourself only with people who say yes, only with sycophants. And so what he has is this complete echo chamber, a bunker mentality, where he is not hearing from people who are going to be giving him a reality check.
Even if no one is speaking out to Putin, Russians can see evidence of a stalled invasion and military chaos on the ground, not the smooth takeover of Ukraine that was clearly expected. Russian-born American journalist Masha Gessen says Putin underestimated the Ukrainian people who overthrew a Russia-backed president 8 years ago.
These are people for whom dying for their freedom is not an abstract idea. It is a part of their lived experience of the last 8 years. These are people who stood in freezing Independence Square in the center of Kyiv through the dead of winter to win their freedom in 2013-2014, who did not back down when the government opened fire on them. Putin doesn't understand that kind of civil society. He doesn't understand that kind of social cohesion. He doesn't understand that potential for self-organization and that commitment to resistance.
Today, Ukrainians blocked the Russian army from approaching a nuclear plant.
It's just clear to me that Ukrainians will never submit to this occupation. They'll never quit. There'll be some kind of fighting, either with guns or passive civic resistance, for the entirety that Putin soldiers remain inside Ukraine.
Konstantin Egert, a Russian journalist living in Lithuania, also thinks Putin has made a fatal miscalculation.
He can't just say, "Oh, I'm sorry that I disturbed your lunch. I'm retreating." He has to play both. He has to deliver, especially to the Russians, and by the way, to his constituency, the Russian generals, the Russian security services, and of course the Russian public, some kind of result. Has to prove that he's done something. And this war with Ukraine will not be a victorious one. It will be a quagmire. It will be a disaster. And I think that quite a few military people understand it.
UK intelligence services claim they are seeing strong dissension among senior Russian military officers about Putin's invasion of Ukraine.
If you're a high-level person in the military, if you've seen how successful operations run, if you've run successful operations in the past, there's no doubt you're looking at a completely mishandled and bungled invasion of Ukraine.
І вам ще дуже пощастило, тому що ви тут.
The internet is now flooded with unverified Ukrainian army videos of captured young Russian soldiers who say they had no idea what they were getting into. We've chosen to blur their faces so they cannot be identified.
Прибыли мы на учение. Нас тут обманули маленько.
They look like they're babies. They look like they have no idea what's happening. They don't look like hardened soldiers.
They've been told that they're fascists ruling Ukraine and they're coming to liberate them, and they're stunned when they're not greeted as liberators.
Russia has shattered peace on the European continent. What we have warned against...
On Monday, facing worldwide condemnation, Mr. Putin lashed out at the West, calling it an empire of lies. A recurring topic in recent days, questions whether Vladimir Putin is in his right mind. Many who have watched him for years are not so sure. Journalist Ann Applebaum has written many books about Russia.
He seems to have hardened his views. He seems to be much less rational. He seems almost fanatically determined to eliminate Ukraine from the map in a way that does sound almost genocidal. I mean, the kind of language that he's using is about not recognizing the existence of Ukrainians, wanting to eliminate them, wanting to remove them.
He has become obsessed with the West, thinks we're out to get him. He thinks we're out to destroy his regime. And at the same time as he's developed these scary ideas, and as I watch his speeches lately, they seem increasingly disconnected from reality. And when he throws in a nuclear threat, that really means, you know, in my view, he's becoming increasingly unhinged.
It was chilling to watch the moment when Putin made that nuclear threat. And General Gerasimov and his defense minister, Minister Shoigu, were there. The expressions on their faces communicated a lot of intelligence to me. They did not seem thrilled with this new order to get their nuclear forces ready. And if you're looking at this war, you're wondering, how does this end?
Western media often tends to portray Putin as this evil genius who is maneuvering and manipulating and planning things out and 20 moves ahead in chess. Putin doesn't operate like that. If you look at the way Russia has been operating on the world stage over the past 24 years of Putin's Russia, he just throws things at the wall and sees what sticks.
I don't think it's a great tactician to isolate your country as he did in 2014 when he first invaded Ukraine and wiped out, you know, billions of dollars in wealth and cut off his country. And now today, is it brilliant and savvy to kill women and children in Ukraine and make your country look like a pariah state? I just don't see the grand strategy at play here. I think we've grossly overestimated him.
As Russia steps up its attack on civilian populations, Mr. Putin will have to come up with an explanation for why he is killing so many of the people he claimed he was coming to save. Terence McKenna, CBC News, Toronto.